What is up? We're going to save this information. We're going to see if we can speed things up noticeably by the end. Okay. Import link. So what I'm going to do, there's these declarations that are called import links that are just links to the value which lives in a different scope. And those happen all the time. Like when you import modules, that's what happens. Or when you use a using, right, it sets up an import link. I have an idea later for how to make import links maybe clearer to understand, because I want to go through many more iterations of improving the code and making it easier to understand, especially for myself, because I forget how things work all the time. But first I want to do a performance thing, which is that I want to not have to asynchronously queue. Well, asynchronous is the wrong word, but there's this thing called queuing in this compiler, which is what you do when this thing is going to go through its phases of compilation in an unordered way relative to other things, right? Import links, in principle, are kind of little nothings. Like they're just a reference for a name. And so, in principle, I may be wrong about this. There may be a gotcha. But in principle, since we just skip along the link to find the value anyway, it shouldn't matter if the link is queued or not. And the reason why I want to make it not queued is because there's way more links than there used to be. I actually don't exactly know how many, but I know that, so this number that we print out, where is it? Where? This, final queues. That's the total number of queued entities that we ever created, or queued, things. And I believe this number used to be a lot lower. And compile time also used to be a lot lower. Our system, so when a bunch of things are queued, you need to determine which ones to compile next for compilation to proceed. And Our system for doing that is not really optimal. If there's a lot of things that are queued but can't progress, we may spend a lot of CPU visiting them multiple times, and all that can be optimized later. But the first thing to do is just reduce load on that system. And so if there's no reason for these things to be queued, we're going to not queue them, and we'll see how much that helps. Hey, Abner, what's up? What's up? He doesn't know how to raid. Well, now he knows. Okay. So we're going to see what happens, but I'm not going to. So the thing that I'm going to do is basically, we were looking at this procedure last night, people who were on the stream, where I was being a little bit grumpy about how much happens in here. Today at the office, I simplified this a little bit, not a lot. But what I'm going to do is, so everything that's an import link has an identifier. Now, when you add an import link, we may need to wake up anybody who's sleeping on that identifier, right? So if some code, like say a procedure is trying to compile and it can't yet because a particular variable is not declared, then it goes to sleep on that variable, and then we wake it up. But after we've done that, we don't want to do anything else that happens in this procedure, including queuing things. So we want to insert a thing that just says, if decal import link return. I mean, it never can be this simple, but I think that's what I want to do. I mean, there's reasons why it might be complicated. So we'll see. But I think that's what I want to do, and we're going to find out. But so for that to be true, or I should do a first pass auditing the code to make sure it's not going to care if there's a type on these or not. And excuse me. And through a lot of the pipeline, I'm just ignoring because they're all later. I'm mostly concerned about things that could happen during the type checking phase. Wow, I swallowed something. Hold on. We'll see if some tea helps. So here we're just skipping over. I'm just searching for import link here, and I just want to see who looks at it. These are just skipping over import links. They're just, this is the most common thing I do, is just a while loop walking along import links, because you could have more than one. You could export something into a namespace that exports those things into another namespace. By the way, all of this is just so we can compile things out of order, which again, C++ doesn't do. Like if we didn't do this one thing to avoid having header file equivalents, oh my God, we would have finished this game so much sooner, or the language. Holy crap, this is like 2/3 of the work that I do is related to this at this point. Okay. So again, it's a loop. It's a loop skipping import links. Loop skipping import links. Oh, this is, yeah, that's some utility thing used by the compiler. Okay, this it actually gets simplified. Let's say we're going to make this tag that we just makes it easy to search. And then I want to put that also here. So this just says, look, if this was queued, unqueue it. But like, probably shouldn't be queued. But then maybe we might need to queue them in certain cases. I don't frickin' know. And that's just another loop to skip import links. Okay. That's weird that we're doing, anyway. Anyway, okay. Type table, I'm not going to worry about. Wait, yes I am. I thought we skip import links now in the type table. See, this is going to probably, I'm just going to let this assert if it does. It might be, there's probably an assertion in here that we computed a type for this thing. Except I thought we skip import links now when, I don't know. We'll see what happens there. I'm not going to worry about it yet. Depend through import links. We want to get rid of dependencies eventually. Follow constant import links. Yeah. Okay, so this is looking at a type, but it's looking at the type on the using, not on the declaration itself. And skipping import links. Right. So that's just another skipper loop. Skipper loop. Skipper loop. We've got so many skipper loops. So one of the things that I'm thinking I might do, so I alluded earlier that I wanted to do something to make the code easier to understand. Right now, so when there's an import link, literally nothing else on the declaration is set. And a declaration is a big data structure, relatively, because it contains all these things that we might want. And not only is that a little bit wasteful of memory, but it makes the code harder to understand because someone coming along doesn't know that if these are set, all these are not, right? And so I was going to break it up into like, well, a thing could be a declaration, or it could be just an import link, or maybe one or two other things. And so these would get moved out of this struct. And that would just make it easier to understand. And if we had a separate thing for import links, I probably wouldn't mind adding a third pointer because it doesn't get used in other declarations. And that third pointer could say like final declaration or whatever, right? And then we wouldn't need to have all these frickin' skipper loops. You could just say, oh, if it's an import link, what's the final thing? And that would also be a speed increase in cases. I mean, it's almost never the case that there are deep, very deep linking, but there's also like branch predictability to think about and whatever. So I think that'll matter a little bit. Just simply because there's so many damn import skippers. That's going to be painful though, because if we move import link onto a different data structure, then all of this changes. All of this changes. Okay. Follow constant import links. Skipper, decal import link. Oh, here we're asserting that it's queued. Wait, we're asserting that the thing it's linking to is queued. This is weird. So this is saying we sleep. All right, we're going to need to edit this. I don't know by how much, but I mean, maybe okay, there's a problem. And it is the following. So the way that we would get here if this import link is in a data scope is that it's queued. That's like everything in a data scope is queued. If it's not queued, it doesn't get type checking run on it. And if we don't get type checking run, then this can never really happen, which is a bummer. So if this works, we're going to need a way to figure out how to do this. There's certainly other ways to do it. But yeah. Okay. Okay, so okay, and those are more skipper loops. Well, we're just going to see what happens. Could be a total disaster. What failed? Must return a value. Must return a value. I could see us failing to infer we're just going to make it void for now. Just so that we don't stop anyone who flattens an import link. All right. So this is an overloading problem. You know, there's a different declaration of compare. We're getting a type mismatch. Oh, that's why. Okay, so remember when I said it's not going to be that simple? It's not that simple. We just discussed overloading here. Back here when I said if it's got an import link, return. Oh, wait, I didn't even turn this on. Okay, I was going to say the problem with turning this on is that overloads don't happen, except actually overload sets are not built here. They're built by the caller to this, so that's not the issue. All right. I wonder if check for redundant overloads does something besides simply checking. Right. Oh, yeah, it sets overloads are locked. Okay, this is a problem. I think we're going to have to queue overloads, even if they're imports. See, I wanted it to be dead simple, and it isn't. Okay, before we go back and change this, right? So slow compiling. Yeah. This is about the time when projects start getting unfun to work on, is when, like for speed purposes, I'm editing this file that's included by everyone, and whoop-dee, I get a long compile time every time I edit it because it's C++. Okay, so same symptom, even though I turned off that line again. And I bet if I re-enable this, it goes away. Let's find out. No. Really? One of the things that I did besides this causes this problem. Well, it's one of these three files. That's the only difference in that file. It's one of these two files. Probably not that one, although maybe. Okay. Oh, wait. Okay, obviously. Duh. So obviously, this is going to prevent us from doing this because we return first. So that's not reasonable. All right. Oh, now our placeholders are screwed. Placeholder was not filled. I mean, not really sure why that is. This is all stuff that the meta program generates. Oh, no, you know what it is. That add to scope thing where I said to return early, has some stuff about no, it's not there. See, this is how all your features interact and make everything complicated. Nothing can be simple. There is a thing where when you put something into a scope, you make an import link to its outer scope. Like if you're a file scope, for example, you have an associated export scope and you make an import link in there that contains the name that you're exporting, and that will often satisfy one of these placeholders. And the fact that that isn't happening is weird. Oh. Okay, this is suspiciously in that code. So maybe since I haven't switched everything else over, that's going to cause problem. I wouldn't have thought that it would. Well, okay. Well, maybe we can maybe we can return those later. Okay, so I'm going to do this. And you know what we could actually do? We could let import links go through most of this procedure, which I'd rather skip most of the procedure since it would be faster. But so we make this should queue variable here, and we'll say if it's an import link, then oh geez. See, this is annoying. So we're queuing declarations in imperative blocks that are constant in order to let you refer to them even if they're lexically later than what you type. See, this is, we would still want to do that for import links, I guess. I'm just going to cancel everything and stop programming. Including Christmas. Christmas is canceled. Okay, well, So the thing is, I can set up some logic here that does some exceptions. I mean, basically, we would do this. Actually, we would do this. But it just starts to get complicated. Like, I don't want things to be complicated to think about, and this starts getting complicated to think about. But if we need it for performance, see that, no. So why don't we, in register overload, okay. As soon as we make something an overload head, that's another thing. Oh. So if we do this, where scope entries could be different kinds of things, then an overload head would be a thing, and then we wouldn't have to have this confusing overload checking. I'm starting to like this plan. This is going to be a good plan. I mean, I'm not sure in reality how much simpler it'll be because everything sounds better in the beginning, but it sounds like a good plan. Like if we can get a declaration back to meaning a particular value, that would be great. Oh, and then we could have like a compound declaration, which is, there's this hack where if we have comma separated arguments, that would be good. Yeah, okay. No, I'm enjoying this plan. I think it'll make things cleaner. But before we do that, we want to wrestle with this. Okay. Well, I need to get a camera that follows me around while I move so that I stay in the frame. Okay. I could zoom it out more. Zoom it out a little more. Zooming it Why did I say cancel? I didn't say cancel. I clicked on the corner. All right. Wait, how are we back to 100? I thought I didn't drag it that far. Look at the latency in the number. So weird. So weird. Okay. So what I was saying is when we make like this is the kind of thing that would be cleaner if we had already done this. So if this becomes too messy today, I have about another hour to try and get it mostly working before I go somewhere. If it gets messy today, then maybe I do the cleanup first, or the restructuring first, and then come back and do this again when it makes more sense and is easier to think about. So I was going to talk about overloading here, but I'm just going to do this. Should queue only matters if we're not queued. And so here I'm going to say, I'm going to queue us. And we're going to see what happens. What happens to the nappins? What happens to the napkins? Hey! Well, that didn't really reduce the number of queues at all. A 100. Oh. I mean, it varies by a certain amount randomly. How many did we have before? Oh, we didn't save it. Anyway, it was still in the same zone. Oh. We got to fix that problem. It's our new problem. It's been there for days at least. Okay, so I could just so there are many, many import links. And so if the number of queues didn't go down significantly, it means they're also getting queued somewhere else, probably. We're like slower, if anything. We're like 0.05 slower. It's bad news, man. I can just check. Like when we do queue for resolve, I could set a breakpoint if it's got an import link, and then I'm going to say conditions decal import link, and we're going to see yeah, I know. God. Program fucking sucks. All right. Make using import declaration. Hey, look. Anytime there's a using, which is also an import, we manually queue it anyway. Somewhere. I mean, oh, does this depend? This queues us if we're not queued. Yeah. Okay. Right. This one is not easy to get rid of. Not as easy as the other one because of this. So, oh, except that I think we said we're not exporting import links anymore. Yeah, let's just try, see how big of a disaster this is. I don't even know. Debug build. Yeah. But this could well be, all right, so let's take this change one step at a time. So this is a big change because we not only don't add the dependency, but we don't queue it. So we could say queue for resolve actually, let's do this. Take out the send messages part and just leave the infer dependency and see what happens. Okay. Yeah. Here, but we don't send Okay. Now I could do a super hack and do this, which is going to make a dependency that hopefully doesn't do anything. Yeah, so that dependency doesn't do anything. So this is really just about the thing being queued. So wait, we just ran the wrong tests. Debug versus release executable. So if we comment this out, result won't get queued anymore, and then we'll get that error, and then we could try to... I think I know why, because if some things are queued, their inferred type will never be set, and that'll log jam us in certain places. And maybe we just teach those places that it doesn't matter. I don't know. Is someone assuming that my personal pronoun is they? Is that what's happening? Okay. So we comment this out. All right. So this is going to break. So read entire file is unhappy. And I assume that's because it's waiting for an import link. All right. So I'm going to just guess what the problem is. Well, not exactly guess. Okay, this bothers me that this assert is not going off. Actually, I would have, oh, well, we did just run release build. I would have been expecting that assert to go off. So let's see. Nope. Okay. Well, let us make this what we think it should be. Okay, so we actually don't need that fix me anymore because we said if it's an overload, we queue it. So do I think chat would have more interesting questions about the compiler if they could play with it too? No. People would just ask me to change the comma to a percent sign. Or at least that would be the overwhelming majority of what people would ask for. Okay. Check for lambda argument match, 2266. That's weird. Now it's real bad. Like, why do we have a procedure that's not even, let's do no jobs so that we get consistent results. All right. Like a procedure isn't inferred, but we're somehow, it's check for redundant overloads. I get it. So what's happening here is we're not checking that these things are actually ready. And so they aren't ready. It's pretty straightforward, actually. Although this just says it's supposed to yield. I guess we don't remember to check this one. That's just a bug. Oh, maybe it didn't matter before. It wasn't a real bug because we would only get right. Okay, we would only get there if the first one cleared. Okay, we're back to this. So there's a number of things that might be going on. What I suspect is happening is that we're seeing an identifier for compare, right? We look it up. It has an import link because that's what we've been messing with. Although, no, this one wouldn't be import link at all, so I don't know. But anyway, like, we're not... Oh, I get it. I think. Overload resolution is complicated enough that I'm not remembering how it works right now. Turn compare. So is that the only compare in this file? Yes. But when we import string, that gives us other compares. So what I assume is happening is that string hasn't finished importing yet. So we don't have those other compares. But nevertheless, we just went and resolved ours, and it's not an overload because there's only one. So the question is, bro, why is that happening? Normally, okay, I'm not sure that's what's happening because when we have an import, we're supposed to look at the scope and say, hey, we're waiting on an inserter. And you're looking up some lambdas. So maybe what really happened is we added the things just fine. But they're not... They're not happening correctly as overloads somehow. You know, this is one of those things where maybe I want to do that cleanup first, because if the overloads are just cleaner to think about and look at, if they're not just like mashed into the declaration the way they are now, I might enjoy it more. So I might bail on this change again until later and do something easier, because I'm going to go somewhere in like under an hour. That is the moral dilemma that I'm facing right now. We've been doing that a couple times in the past couple days, where we start doing something and revert. So maybe I shouldn't, or maybe that's just a sign that I'm doing this in the wrong order. Things that make you go, Like we could always just do the CPU ID intrinsic, which shouldn't be hard, and would be nice, concrete progress. Because the thing is, I'd almost rather debug this. Like, you know, what I would do, let's at least look at it. Let's look at it. So, type mismatch. We're just going to... All right, we'll break and report error. Why? Dude, this program is so bad. Okay, we're ignoring that. Okay, we're here. We're going to check that types match. Type checking arguments, right? And we're inferring types for obviously this procedure call. Okay. So we could look at the call procedure expression. That's going to be an identifier. And then we look at when that identifier was looked up. Identifier, this one, right? And then we go, oh, whoops, sorry, we do this. Now we run again, and so hopefully we're running with no jobs. No jobs, okay. So we're running again, and let's just see how many times we look this up, because if we fail the first n times, we'll keep going. Just one. Okay. So we call resolve one ident. We're going to find a declaration. We did find one. Okay, that's not the place that we do the overloads, though. We do those later down in this routine. Okay. So this is not an import link, right? It's like the regular declaration, which makes sense because it's in our scope, so it didn't get imported from another scope. So we got a constant procedure. Okay. If it's a procedure or overload set, I don't think so. Yeah. If it's a procedure, we go collect overloads. The block is not waiting on inserters, which means that our imports should have completed, right? And so when you do an import command, it makes this thing called an inserter, and it just goes right there. And, well, there isn't one right now. Let's just see how much stuff is in this block. There should be a fair amount. I just want to verify that the stuff completed. 17 members? I don't buy that. That's like our imports haven't, in fact. Oh, the block's parent is waiting on inserters, right? No, it isn't. Okay, right, okay. No, it's this one. So this one I believe. That 426 items is probably what you would have if you imported all these things, right? Okay. And then this block's parent probably doesn't have that much. 86. I don't know why it's that much, honestly. Anyway, we should keep going all the way up to the root. Right, we're going up. Okay, we found another declaration. This should not fire because those pointers are not equal. If site is earlier than decal, I don't think so, right? So, wait, what? Oh, because we set it to void. Okay. You know, this might be something we have to do several times in the program. Okay. And then we put that in the overload. I don't know. I don't feel like that's going to be the only time we have to do that. We'll find out. Well, we did solve that problem. This is another overload situation, though. Like, there's multiple Alex with, I think. Yep, that one takes a size. That one takes a type. Now that's the curious thing about this one is they're in the same scope. They in the same scope. I could do exactly the same thing with this one that I just did. What would be the difference? The difference would be I don't know what the difference would be, honestly. Let's just see. I guess we decided not to bail on this. Okay. So again, we're doing a procedure call. We've got a procedure expression. It's an identifier. Serial number is this time. So we go back to here, change this. Rerun. A rerun. So we found the declaration in this scope, just like last time. This one, however, is probably going to, yeah, this one's already an overload. Why does that make it think it's not an overload? I don't actually know. I do know I want some light in this room. Okay. Wow. Well, I mean, it's an overload already, so this idea that we would somehow miss that it's an overload is pretty weird. I mean, here we're gonna collect overloads. Wait, we didn't. Oh, it's void. Again. Well, see, this is messy enough. Well, I don't know. No, we should just fix it. So somehow, because one of these well, we're just gonna find out when this is created, and then we're gonna very slowly put a breakpoint on its inferred type. I want to know who sets its type. Do I think my years studying the university were a major factor? It's really hard to say. I did learn some stuff in school. I also learned some wrong things in school that I had to unlearn later. And it's unclear if the stuff that I learned in school I would have learned outside of school, possibly faster, possibly slower. It's just too hard to say. I certainly wasn't very happy in school, but I might have been unhappy out of school. Okay, we got a breakpoint. So we come out here. We will check the inferred type. Let's just try using this feature. Did they take it out? God. Seriously, there was a break one change, but it didn't untoggle correctly. I don't know. I don't know where it went. They just hot patched it out of the Visual Studio. Okay. Right, so this here is wrong because again, it's an import link. That's what's happening. Like I said, we might have to okay, well, that was a mistake, I admit. Well, we're back to this. Program contains circular dependencies. At least we solved lots of other problems. Let's see what's up here. Look, I'm hitting delete on this. It doesn't delete. Why? Because Visual Studio is quality software made by Microsoft. Like, I literally can't delete this line. Oh my God. Okay, test, infer. This is a lambda body, not surprising. Definitely has dependencies. Okay, it's flat and finished, so it's really the dependencies holding it up. Target is a declaration. See that. It's a declaration. Read entire file. Wait, it's its own declaration? Line 76. Ah. Yes. calling a different overload of its same name. So this declaration, what's its deal? Identifier, expression, overloads list? No. Yeah, so this is a problem. Like, where's the other read entire file? Oh, let's. Oh, it's here. Okay. So well, I mean, we're failing to collect the overloads, probably. Or we don't even get that far. No, we should have gotten that far. We're going to do the same thing. Going to do the same thing. Problem is, I don't know. Well, we could do this. Does our dependency tell us? Who put us on there? No. Okay. I mean, we can just see. See, this guy isn't in an overload list, so it must be the import link. Trying to figure out what's a reliable way to break when we look up the identifier that resolves to whatever this is. I mean, maybe we just eat the pain of doing the following thing. You know what? no check-in if L type is lambda and n L name and strings match name read entire file and call line number is equal to 83. Right? And that will give us the procedure call. Oh. Sometimes you just got to do some things. Okay, call file name, module file, call line number, 83. Call procedure expression, not the resolved one. So we want to look up the identifier. This is going to be a totally stupid mistake, I'm sure. All right, and then we go back to our thing and make it this. I don't know C# very well, but it's a garbage collected managed language, so I don't have a lot of interest in it. I think if you're going to program in a managed language, it should be tremendously higher level than C++ is. Or C# is even. Okay. So we got our identifier. It is not an overload list. I bet that's void, right? No. Okay, it's not an import link. Should be a procedure. Yep, type of lambda, etc. Okay. Collect overloads. Does that set the resolve declaration? because I don't see any other way. So this one is an overload list. Whoa! That's wrong. Wait, what? I bet it's because it wasn't it's another type problem. Yeah. Because it's not flagged as a frickin' procedure. Here we go. Like I said, I probably have to do it a lot of times. Mix into overloads. Single declaration. So decal overload list, two things. First thing, it is a lambda. We make an overload set. We add an overload info. Great. Okay. Second thing in the list. We're yielding there's multiple bugs here. So its inferred type is null, but it's an import link. Yeah, we're going to have to make this clear. It's so easy to forget this. So that thing that I did, like if I do the structural cleanup and then we have like a final value, and this thing would not even be the same as declaration, so you wouldn't be able to make this mistake. It'd be pretty good. So okay. Now the other problem though, okay, now typed into this, so it's screwy, but the other problem is these guys aren't noticing a yield. I mean, this is. Well, actually, we should go down here. So it's, I think it's because we're leaving the overload list kind of on the identifier when we yield. Something like that. Oops. So C++, different language. All right. Different conventions. with set. Equals null. Okay. There are some const references in the compiler code, but not very many. $17.88. Final decal. Argument 1 to this bake is not a constant because it can't get the type or something. This is encouraging. I bet this checks. It's an identifier. It's called find constant replacement. We do go down the, Well, let's find out what's going on. Set next statement. All right. It's an identifier. Oh, because it's an import link. Wait, what? Okay, hold on. Import links we should have skipped past. Set next statement. Decal import link. That is bad. Really? Oh, right. Okay. Identifiers actually need to go to the non-import link. I don't know why that's any different, but then constant replacement. Well, you know what? Why should we check that? Let's just take this out. Same problem. Right. Set next statement. Step. Boom, boom, boom. Find it. Well, what? Is not a constant. Oh, it's not a constant. This is actually a correct error. How did that ever work? Wait, what? We fixed a bug that we didn't know about. Texture catalog. Oh. This is a constant? It is a constant. Wait. What is texture catalog lowercase? What is that? Oh, it's an instance. Okay, I'm going to stop here because it's time for me to go somewhere. This is an interesting thing because Oh no, this is correct. Okay. What's happening is bakeable global is failing. This is supposed to return null. But like globals are constants for the purposes of this because their address is something. So is bakeable global we could actually you know what? We're going to clean this up. Look how complicated this is. So what I'm going to do, and this is what's breaking, and it's breaking because, again, we're passing it something that's not quite right. what we're going to do is modify that previous routine. We're going to say modify this with an additional argument that lets it accept a bakeable global. Then we can get rid of most of this complication, recursion, etc. Because that other thing already has all this recursion. And it goes through identifiers and all this stuff. So just once we get to the, we can delete all of this. Maybe. Ooh, I don't know about this. I mean, we can check for that. It's a little complicated. We would need this first argument. We would need these. And we would ignore them. Yeah. Anyway, that would get rid of most of this, and then just once we find the declaration, I'm not sure about this. I don't know why we say that's not true. And then we just do this checking down here. So I'm going to do that when I get back, but it's time for me to take a break and go do some things. Gonna go do some things. Thanks, people, for stopping by. We'll probably do another stream later tonight because I want to make an attempt at finishing this. Because I want to get this in, and then I want to start doing my reorganization. Let's see if there's someone to raid. Oh, yeah. Land is on. Okay. Here we go. Enjoy your upcoming gaming cyberpunk city break-in thriller stream that you will now be escorted into.